Have you ever fallen asleep, met someone, and then spent the entire next day thinking about them? Not your friend, not your crush, not someone you know, a complete stranger, yet somehow she felt familiar. Maybe she smiled at you, maybe she laughed, maybe she looked at you like she'd known you forever. Then you woke up and she disappeared. Now here's something strange. Every single day, thousands of people search questions like, who was the girl in my dream? Can dreams predict people you'll meet? Why can't I stop thinking about someone I dreamed about? Thousands, every single day. But then I found a Reddit post, one sentence, just one. It said, I met the same girl in my dreams for almost a year. At first, he thought nothing of it. Dreams are weird, we all know that. But then she started appearing again and again and again. Sometimes they walked together, sometimes they talked, sometimes she simply smiled. Then one afternoon, he was standing inside a grocery store. He looked up, and for a split second, his heart stopped, because standing just a few feet away was someone who looked exactly like her. Or at least, that's what his brain told him. Was it really the same girl? Nobody knows. But he wasn't the only one, not even close. Thousands of people online claim they've experienced something similar. Different countries, different ages, different languages, yet somehow the same story. I dreamt about someone, and later I saw them. Now, before you delete this video, pack your bags and start searching every coffee shop in America. There's something you should know. Scientists have spent decades studying dreams, and what they discovered is, honestly, even stranger than the internet theories. Because your brain does something every single night that sounds impossible. It creates people. People that feel real, people you care about, people you miss, people who might never have existed at all. So, who was she? The answer starts with something your brain has been secretly doing every single day since the day you were born. And once you understand it, you'll never look at your dreams the same way again. So, who was she? Did your invent invent her? Or have you actually seen her somewhere before? Believe it or not, scientists don't have a complete answer, but they do know something that is almost impossible to believe. Your brain remembers far more than you think. Right now, try remembering every person you've seen today. The woman at the grocery store, the man walking his dog, the cashier, the driver waiting at the traffic light, the stranger sitting behind you. Can't remember? Exactly. Your conscious mind forgets them, but your brain doesn't. Every single day, without asking for permission, your brain quietly collects tiny pieces of information. A smile, a hairstyle, a pair of blue eyes, a voice, a laugh. Thousands and thousands of tiny memories. Most of them you'll never remember, but your brain keeps them anyway. Now, imagine your brain owns the biggest Lego collection in the world. Millions of tiny pieces. Every face you've ever glanced at. Every expression. Every emotion. Every smile. Then, one night, while you're asleep, it opens the box and starts building. Not one person, but someone who feels real. Maybe she has the eyes of someone you passed in a supermarket, the smile of your third-grade teacher, the hairstyle of a girl you walked past 6 years ago, a voice inspired by your favorite actress. Your brain mixes, changes, rebuilds, until someone completely new appears, or at least she feels new. Think about your favorite superhero: Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. None of them are real, but your brain instantly knows what they look like. Why? Because your imagination can combine things you've already seen into something that feels completely original. Dreams work in a surprisingly similar way. This is one reason scientists believe dream characters can feel incredibly convincing. Not because your brain copied one real person, but because it blended thousands of tiny memories into one believable face. But then, something happens that makes everything even stranger. Because you don't just see her, you feel something. Comfort, safety, excitement, love, loneliness, hope. And your brain doesn't remember faces nearly as well as it remembers emotions. Think about your childhood. Can you remember every conversation? Probably not. But you remember how your grandmother made you feel, how your best friend made you laugh, how your first heartbreak felt. Feelings survive long after details disappear. Dreams are no different. And that's why, when you wake up, you don't just remember her face, you remember how she made you feel. Maybe she made you feel understood. Maybe she made you feel safe. Maybe she made you feel loved, even if the dream lasted only 5 minutes. Here's the crazy part. Researchers have found that during REM sleep, the emotional parts of your brain become incredibly active, but the part responsible for logic becomes much quieter, which means your brain isn't asking, "Is this person real?" It's asking, "How does this person make me feel?" And that changes everything, because suddenly it doesn't matter whether she existed. The emotion did. The comfort did, the happiness did, the connection did. But then there's one question that keeps appearing over and over and over again, on Reddit, on Quora, on YouTube, everywhere. What if I actually meet her one day? At first, it sounds impossible, but then you read another story and another and another. People claiming, "I finally met the girl from my dreams." So, are they telling the truth? Or is your brain playing one final trick that almost everyone falls for? Because what psychologists discovered next might completely change the way you trust your own memories. Imagine this. It's been 6 months since that dream. You barely think about it anymore. Life moves on. School, work, friends. Everything feels normal again. Until one ordinary afternoon, you're walking through a shopping mall. People everywhere. Music playing. Nothing unusual. Then, someone walks past you. Your heart skips a beat. Because for one tiny moment, you could swear it was her. The same smile, the same eyes, the same feeling. You turn around. She disappears into the crowd. Now, let me ask you something. Did you actually recognize someone, or did your brain simply want to? This is where psychology becomes incredibly fascinating, because your brain has a habit that tricks every single human being. It's called pattern recognition. Imagine you're looking at clouds. 1 second, they're just clouds. The next, you see a dragon, a rabbit, a human face. Did the clouds change? No, Your brain did. It desperately tries to find familiar patterns, even when they aren't really there. That's also why sometimes your jacket hanging on a chair looks exactly like a person standing in your room at 2 a.m. Yeah, your brain enjoys giving you mini heart attacks for free. The exact same thing can happen with faces. Researchers have discovered that humans are incredibly good at recognizing familiar facial features, sometimes too good. You don't need two faces to be identical, only similar enough. Your brain fills in the missing pieces without asking your permission. Which means the girl you saw at the mall may not have actually looked exactly like the girl from your dream. Your brain simply connected enough familiar details to make you believe they were the same person. But this gets even stranger, because your memory isn't a photograph, it's more like a story. And every single time you remember that story, your brain quietly edits it. Think about your favorite childhood memory. You probably believe it's exactly how it happened, but psychologists have found that every time we recall a memory, we rebuild it rather than replay it. Tiny details can change without us noticing. Which means every time you remembered that mysterious girl, your brain may have been changing her, little by little, making her smile brighter, making her eyes clearer, making her voice softer, until eventually the version inside your head was no longer exactly the one from your dream. It had become your perfect memory of her. The biggest mystery was never the girl, it was why your brain chose her out of billions of possible faces. And the answer to that question might be the most beautiful part of this entire story. So, why her? The truth is, your brain probably wasn't choosing a person, it was choosing a feeling. Think about your favorite song. Why is it your favorite? Is it because it's objectively the best song ever made? Probably not. It's because it reminds you of something. A memory, a person, a moment, an emotion. Dreams work in a surprisingly similar way. Your brain doesn't always create people because it remembers them. Sometimes it creates people because it remembers how you want to feel. Maybe you've been feeling lonely, so your brain creates someone who makes you feel understood. Maybe you've been stressed, so your brain creates someone who makes you feel safe. Maybe you've been searching for love, so your brain creates someone who seems perfect, not because they exist somewhere in the world, but because your brain is trying to give a face to an emotion. Think about that for a second. Maybe you weren't missing her. Maybe you were missing the way she made you feel. Comfort, peace, acceptance, hope, love. Those feelings were real, even if the dream wasn't. And that's why some people wake up crying after a dream. Others wake up smiling. Some spend days thinking about someone who only existed for a few minutes, not because the dream changed their life, but because the emotion did. Psychologists often describe dreams as one way the brain processes emotions, memories, and experiences. We still don't know exactly why dreams take the form they do, but emotions clearly play a major role. That means sometimes the stranger in your dream may actually be a reflection of something happening inside you, not someone waiting outside. Maybe the girl wasn't a person. Maybe she was your brain's way of showing you what you've been looking for all along. But before we end, there's one final question, one that nobody, not neuroscientists, not psychologists, not anyone can answer with certainty. What if, tonight, your brain creates someone you've never consciously seen before, or at least someone who feels completely new? Would you know the difference? Probably not, because that's the magic and the mystery of dreams.
Every night, your brain becomes a storyteller, a movie director, a painter, a musician, a world builder. It creates cities that don't exist, conversations that never happened, people you'll never forget. And somehow it makes every single one of them feel real. Maybe that's why dreams have fascinated humans for thousands of years, not because they predict the future, not because they're supernatural, but because they reveal just how extraordinary the human brain really is. Tonight, while you're sleeping, your brain will create another world. A world with streets, voices, conversations, places you've never visited, and maybe someone you've never consciously met. Someone who will make you laugh, or comfort you, or disappear before you even know their name. Tomorrow morning, you'll probably forget most of it. Researchers believe we lose much of our dream content shortly after waking. The conversations, gone. The places, gone. Even the face may slowly fade away. But sometimes one feeling survives. One smile, one moment, one person. And somehow, that's enough. So, tonight, when you close your eyes, ask yourself one question. If you meet someone, will they be someone you've already seen, or someone your brain quietly created from pieces of your entire life? You may never know. And maybe that's exactly why dreams have fascinated humanity for thousands of years. Not because they give us all the answers, but because they remind us how many questions still remain. The next unforgettable person you meet might only exist until morning. Sleep well, because your greatest adventure always begins the moment you close your eyes. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more stories where psychology, science, and the mysteries of the human mind come together. Because sometimes the biggest mysteries in the universe aren't out there. They're inside you.